I've been sitting here by the Great North Saskatchewan River, a river of so many journeys, so much history, so many sacred places. It was a river that was the genesis for this program, and in fact it was a coal ash spill from the dam giving way into a tributary of the Athabasca River that prompted the development of this program. The program responded to a call for environmental education program for Indigenous youth. This program is for Indigenous students who are enrolled in post-secondary institutions that are recognised in undergraduate programs. It offers them, it provides them the opportunity to actually undertake environmental research that they may never have considered before, to work alongside mentors who are experts in the field over a wide range of environmental disciplines and environmental topics. They spend 4 months in summer on a fully paid internship. They work with biological scientists, they work with experts in forestry, in wildfire, in environmental law, in life sciences. They get to do hands-on work to understand what it is to do research. Some of our students measure the impact of glacier melt on the Athabasca, knowing as they do so that this river is a river that is so important to their community. Some of our students are working in the far north, in the Northwest Territories. Some of them are studying the impacts of wildfire and developing sensors that are affordable for Indigenous communities. One of the greatest privileges of my life, living in this territory, has been my involvement in being able to develop and expand and work with other Indigenous and non-Indigenous colleagues in developing this program. I'm extremely humbled and extremely grateful to have had this opportunity. In particular, to witness the transformation that it creates in interns who undertake this journey. The possibilities for their life's path that they had not considered. It expands not only their opportunities, but also the ability of their communities who are confronted with these escalating environmental challenges.
The reflection comes back like right here though.
That means that the lens is a little tilted.
We started with first couple weeks me doing research and literature review, understanding what goes on here in libs. And then after that, I spent a few weeks starting experiments, doing optimization experiments, understanding what is the best setup for our experiment. Everything that we've been doing here has been very scientific from start to finish. Every question, we answer it with data analysis.
So Dehcho is doing a great job at both performing the experimental research, meaning using these high power lasers to produce these plasmas and study the emission spectrum, as well as analyze the data himself. So he's been going from start to finish of the experimental process. In my opinion, I think the iSTEAM program is a very good opportunity for students to get into the research lab and see how all aspects of scientific research is conducted. It's especially useful for underrepresented minorities in science, such as Indigenous populations.
Before I started here, I pretty much decided I want nothing to do with science anymore. Everyone here really cares about what they're doing, and they care whether or not you understand what's happening. It kind of gives me more motivation to continue on and say like a master's in science.
One of the best things about today is he came in and was asking questions constantly the whole time, which shows that he was extremely motivated and interested in what we do. And he also seemed to like shooting big lasers. So.
It's been really interesting to be in the lab and to see how my lab mates do their things. And it does remind me a lot of my past biology courses. And so now that's actually coming into play 7 years later.
That must be why you picked it up so quickly, because you're doing very well with the computer-based stuff.
I have a lot of support from you, which really helps, and I know that I can go at it through my own pace, which is one of the things that I really like about iSTEAM, the program in general, is that I don't have to have any pressure associated with the research. I can go at my own pace and I can be understood. And the lab is more of a safe learning environment. I remember that first day that you guys took us out to the field. It was so just refreshing to do. Like, I was honestly so amazed because it was like a world that I had never seen before.
Valerie's been instrumental in going out to the field to collect the samples that we need in the very short time frames that they're available to do the genomic experiments that we carry out through the rest of the year.
It was really great being able to learn from the different people in the lab on how to spot certain things in my environment. Even walking around on campus, I look at it so differently because of the research that we've done in this lab and the different techniques I've learned. It's been really awesome.
This summer, Nick and I have been working on identifying and characterizing the toxicity of some new generation flame retardant compounds that have been increasing in use worldwide.
Through our research, we've helped collect data that will help prevent these contaminants from ending up in water sources that can affect all of Albertans, and especially Indigenous communities. The most exciting part of my internship so far this summer has been learning all the techniques and learning how to use all of the equipment that teaches us about the physiological aspects of these Daphnia. Grad school was never really on my radar. But ever since I've got to work on this project, I've learned that I love research. And I would love to carry on with this.
iSteam initiative has been a really good way of bridging the gap between the scientific community and the First Nations community by integrating the knowledge that we produce here and introducing the world of science to students who otherwise wouldn't have that interest.
This is my first exposure to any sort of biological sciences. I have learned the techniques that come with it. The first time I saw the brain that I had mounted on the microscope and all the different fluorescing cells throughout the brain.
This is a microscope that we use to not only look at fluorescence in genetically modified animals, but also things like muscle structure in normal animals. Kayla's taken the lead on this to produce all of the unique data and head each individual component. Kayla's done an incredible job, if that's not immediately apparent from the fact that I can completely rely on her techniques to use for other students' projects.
This experience has also very much shaped my idea on attending future and higher education as well and pursuing a master's or a PhD.
How do you think it looks?
I think it looks good. There's no air bubbles.
Yeah, and the fish look more relaxed now.
Yeah, not swimming, not freaking out.
The project that Honesty is working on is trying to understand the physiology or the biology of fish that are living in alkaline lakes in the province. So these are very unique environments in Alberta, and Honesty's project is trying to understand whether or not these fish living in this very unique and kind of harsh environment are going to be more susceptible to climate change.
I've spent the entire summer so far working with fish. Been a lot of fun, which is exactly what I was hoping for, and the iSteam internship is a very, very great opportunity, and I'm so happy I've been able to do this twice now, because I've learned so much.
The project we're working on is a biotoxicity water monitoring system. My part specifically is working on the weather station, as you can see here, which will be used to read local weather conditions near a water source.
The idea here is then this becomes a real-time water quality monitoring system. What we're trying to do then is find test sites where we can do a field test with this technology to understand how that data changes as water quality changes.
And hopefully correlate those with the readings we get from this biosensor, as you can see right beside it, to hopefully find out more information about how weather affects water quality.
Gage's role has really been to build the devices you see here, to program them so that you can collect data, as well as to get even to the user interface when you see the data. All of that programming has really been his key focus during this term here. From my perspective, it's gone amazingly well. We progressed to the point where now we're getting ready to do some final tests and deploy the system, hopefully right before the end of the term.
iSteam specifically giving me the chance, not living in this province, moving across the country to work in a lab like this. It lets you meet great new people, work on crazy cool projects. Most importantly, set your career on a good path.
It provides enhanced mentorship and trying to really get towards some of the skills and some of the network building that's really needed to get into a career in science, technology, engineering, math, and so on. It's really a privilege to be able to participate in the program, and I really feel like I learn as much as I think the student would learn by participating. So that's been a really good experience for me personally.
Climate change, things are getting warmer and trees are suffering from stress, drought stress. So that's what I'm trying to see our mixed stands, whether they are resistant or not to the drought, and how can we do in terms of either maintaining them or managing forests from mixed stands. Acacia has been helping me a lot to select across Alberta where do we want to allocate our plots.
It's been really great to share kind of a part of my culture and what I know, but also to hear from Jessica. It's kind of like a shared experience, and it's really cool because I feel like I've learned a lot, but I feel like I've also shared a lot too. I just have a really awesome mentor, and I'm very thankful because I've learned so much. It kind of makes me more aware of our environment and how much its health really does depend on us as people to take care of it. We are meant to take care of our lands and of our earth.
I'm interning under Dr. Dar with the Environmental and Civil Engineering faculty. Our project we're working on is a biogas refinery from human waste and food waste. Food waste is a huge problem in anywhere humans live. Every day I see the green bin that we throw out onto the curb. There's like a pound or 2 pounds of food in there that while I might not be able to eat it, some insect or some bacteria is perfectly capable of eating it and turning into something else. Energy is a huge problem for remote communities to get. A lot of communities rely on solar power and batteries, which can be hit or miss depending on when you want to use your energy, or gas-powered generators, which are bad for the environment. What this could do is this could offer an alternative to energy production far from civilization. You can take the food that you don't want, the food your animals won't eat, anything like that, throw it into one of these bioreactors, and in 30 days you could have 10 liters of methane that you could throw into a generator. And while that does produce carbon, you're putting carbon back into the system through the food you've just returned to this bacteria that is now eaten, converted into very, very fertile soil that you can add to a garden or anything. It completes the cycle. You've taken food that you didn't eat and it's being used again for something else. You've taken all the nutrients you could possibly get out of it and you've given it to another organism. There's so many different options for internships you can get into, and while it's not immediately your choice which one you get into, there's enough of a diversity that one field is going to be related to something you want to do in the future.
I joined the iSteam program because I felt that it was the perfect opportunity for me to gain skills in the fieldwork and research environment. My project is based on electric vehicles in remote Indigenous communities. These skills are going to be essential to my future career, and I believe that this was the perfect environment for me to practice those skills and gain a better hands-on experience. With a bit of my influence, my dad actually ended up purchasing a hybrid electric vehicle truck. I took his vehicle this weekend for 4 days, and I used it to move a lot of my stuff from my apartment. Even with heavier loads, his truck didn't have the opportunity to switch onto its gas motor engine. This meant that for 4 days I didn't spend any of his gas money. I could return my dad his truck with a full tank of gas, something I have never been able to do.
I am working with Dr. Cahill, and particularly his grad student Emily Holden, on a project on plant ecology that hopes to study and understand how plants interact with each other and affect each other's growth as neighbors within a smaller and larger scale community. It is science, it's research, and it's discovery. There's a moment that a connection is made and you understand better, or the real scope of the experiment and its implications sort of dawn on me, or I encounter just a bug that I've never seen before, and it's very riveting. I am so grateful to have an opportunity like this and to be able to pursue and get experience in research. It's really opened up and grounded what research and experimentation and science are in a way that sort of hadn't existed in my head before. And it's made it much more of a realistic opportunity than it was. It's just a fantastic experience in its entirety.
This summer with the iSTEAM program, I'm working with Dr. Julie Gibbs in the Department of Chemistry. Our project this summer is concerned about the tailing ponds in Alberta. They collect the pollution from the oil fields, like oil manufacturing. All of that trickles down into the tailing ponds. So what our lab is concerned with is how to take the pollution, other like random minerals in the water, and we're concerned on how to break those down naturally using different salts, so different natural salts. Usually I don't really see myself as an Indigenous person fitting with anything concerning science or with a lab, but iSTEAM has really bridged that gap, and so I can see how myself as an Indigenous person fits both in the lab and with my community back home. So we're very concerned with the water quality, water pollution, how we can better our environment with the water and our relationship with the water. And my project is directly concerned with water pollution. I'm sort of bridging the gap between all of the teachings that I have about water, the teachings that I continue to have with water, and sharing that with my lab group, with my supervisor, telling her what this means for me and how myself as an Indigenous person, what I can bring to the lab and what knowledge I can bring to the lab.
Coming into a lab can be daunting, and so we take a lot of time just thinking about how to make sure people like Kobe or any other undergrad come into the lab and be safe and feel confident that they know what they're doing. Understanding what the safety protocols are in case of an accident or in case of exposure, even just in general how to use safety equipment like the fume hood and other things properly.
I applied to iSTEAM because I thought it was an interesting opportunity for Indigenous students to apply their traditional knowledges going into a science background of research, and learned a lot of skills, interdisciplinary skills, my communication skills. I am not a science student. I am an English major, drama minor. And going forward, I know that I am adaptable to any environment given to work in. A few of my bosses, they've been really personable and awesome, and they just make me excited to come in every day.
Some people might know that actually the beetle killed millions of trees literally in Alberta since 2007. So our goal is keep track of these individual trees. In this case, we came here to really sample the fungi that are associated with the mountain pine beetle.
I'm doing a couple of different projects in Dr. Erbilgin's lab. Today, we're sampling mountain pine beetle attacked trees, sampling the phloem to understand the chemical profile of the trees after they've been attacked. I'm also working on another project, understanding how CO2 and ozone affect the symbiotic fungi that's important for mountain pine beetles to inoculate lodgepole pines, as well as I'm looking at how secondary bark beetle population dynamics are affected after a mountain pine beetle attack.
My purpose with Shelby to expose her to multiple projects really, and she can make a decision based on which direction she want to go.
Nadir's definitely done an amazing job at encouraging me to get my master's, and I think through the iSTEAM program, I really do want to pursue my master's. The iSTEAM program has definitely exceeded my expectations. I came in to this program thinking I would just be working in a lab, learning to improve my practical laboratory skills, and I've come out learning so many different things about the pine beetle and the importance of the symbiotic fungi.
We learn a lot from each other, I will say. It's a very productive collaboration so far, and I really appreciate for iSTEAM for providing people, students like Shelby. This is a very useful component of our continuing education at University of Alberta. That's a very, very important part.
This has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and through the iSTEAM program, I've got to learn practical laboratory skills that I would not get in my undergrad degree otherwise.
So what we have here is called a queen excluder. It's little metal, goes on top in between the two frames to prevent the queen from getting out. So all the worker bees can still fit through because they're smaller than she is.
Here you have a drone. Remember the 3 different colony members or the types of bees that we have?
The 3 types that we have are the worker bees, which are female, queen bees, which are female, and then drones, which are male. The only purpose of the drone bee is to actually help reproduce. They don't do anything else in the hive, and the worker bees take care of them throughout their life cycle. During the winter, when the hive kind of goes into like their hibernation phase, even though they're not actually hibernating, they are just together all vibrating to stay warm. The rest of the hive will kick out drone bees because they're wasting resources in the winter to keep the hive from dying out.
And do you know why I can keep this drone here in my fingers without any concern about my fingers?
Because drones don't have stingers. That rhymes.
So you learned a lot already about the colony and the bees. So unlike the humans, the bees let the old individuals do the most dangerous job, basically going out and foraging. We're seeing on the outside, as is typical, a lot of honey stores. So all of this is honey, and this is already capped for the winter, right? And then here we have something that is kind of unusual. Do you see the cells sticking out?
Yeah.
Do you know what those are?
Those are brood cells.
They have drawn them out here where they shouldn't be, so that is very interesting. Here we have a comb that is half filled with brood on the right-hand side, and then pollen, which is the main source of brood food, of course, in the colony. And it makes sense that they store the 2 together so that the nurse bees don't have to travel that far. I don't see a queen on this side.
I don't see it on this side either.
And then we need to check basically whether the brood is ready to emerge or whether they are still young. And to do that, we'll just open up a few cells right on the top here. And you can see that they're all white. And when they're white, they're still not ready because they gradually darken into the typical bee color.
Yeah, so bees are like a butterfly in the sense that they go through a whole larvae stage until they emerge as a bee. I don't see her yet. Have you spotted her and I just am missing it?
No, I don't see the queen, but I see pollen cells. So my instinct says, well, this would be a good spot for her to be in.
Yeah, she usually has a group of worker bees that kind of surround her like a ring to tend to her every other needs.
That's right, that's the retinue. And it also serves to distribute her pheromones. Remember, the pheromones are sort of the chemical communication that bees use. Because normally it's dark in a hive, so how else would they communicate? So here we have another frame that has lots of pollen and empty cells. So it would be another good frame for the queen to be on.
She's right there.
Oh, you found her. Very good. So we're very fortunate this year to have Tiana back with our honeybee research program because Tiana already knows so much about bees from her last year's experience. Essentially, we're continuing the experiment for a second year to get more data and answer the questions that we initially had, and that is the role of body size in honeybee workers. And so we're making different body sizes artificially because normally honeybees have only one body size in their workers, but through 3D printing we can actually generate small and large workers. Tiana is working together with a graduate student, Jake, on this project to observe their behavior and figure out whether body size plays a role. She already has such a good knowledge and understanding of the bees that we don't need to train her very much this year. She can deepen her knowledge by her own experiments and own observations, more so than just the textbook knowledge that we can teach her.
I pretty much fell in love with them last year, and I really enjoy our research, and this lab has turned into more than just a summer thing, but more of a family. The opportunity to come back and work with the iSTEAM program and get to do my research while also connecting with my Indigenous heritage was, yeah, a no-brainer and an absolute yes on my part. I also was really fortunate to have the iSTEAM program to give me the opportunity to get to continue my research with this stuff.
I've been involved with the program over the last 3 years, and it's been really delightful to see the growth of the program, to see the impact of the program on all the students, the cohorts that we've had from the first year to the third year. It's also been really great working with the different professors from the different environmental disciplines across the university who have served as supervisors and mentors for the students. I think that the program has had a profound impact on the lives of students from all over Alberta, from different Indigenous communities. Students have been really impacted in a positive way in their educational trajectory, but also in their career trajectories. This program is closing a gap that has existed, and I hope that all the stakeholders will continue to support the program for many years to come. And I hope that more Indigenous students and more professors will take advantage as we all work together as a team to make this even a greater success into the future.
The iSTEAM Pathways programs gives the opportunity to First Nations, Métis, Inuit students from across Canada taking undergraduate degrees. We heard a lot of stories, a lot of testimonies of what the students are taking away from this program. They're taking away inspiration and motivation. We hear from them what it's like to be integrated into a lab that accepts them, where there's room for improvement, where more truth and reconciliation training is needed, as well as what it's like to bring their cultural aspects to the table, and where programs were adjusted because of the knowledge that they bring. They talked of going into communities where they were automatically accepted as a First Nations person, bonding with the other folks within the community. They talked of sitting in research labs and having a different experience than they've ever had elsewhere. We heard the pride in their voices. We heard the community that was being built amongst the students, as well as we heard what they're going to walk with for the rest of their lives. iSTEAM Pathways is really about building community. It's about taking those underlying tenets of kinship and bringing them to the University of Alberta. Through our students, through the co-leads, through the faculties, through the researchers, through the research teams, we can build what is called Wako-Twin. The Cree teaching teaches us that we're all interconnected, not only from people to people, heart to heart, spirit to spirit, but also with our other relations, with the environment, with the rocks, with the trees, with the plants, with the water, with the universe. And it's through these connections that we can continue with our research. We can continue helping and understanding the world that we live in. iSTEAM Pathways gives us a chance to merge different worldviews and move forward and bring all of this together in a way that walks with truth and reconciliation and really builds reciprocal relationships, not just between students and the academic institutions, but also with the relations that our research projects are working on.
We hope you enjoyed that as much as we enjoyed putting that together for you. This program is transformative, it's critical. It enlarges the possibilities and pathways for Indigenous students who will go on, many of them, to do master's degrees in these fields. This program needs to expand, and it needs your help to do so. We can't, in fact, do it without your support. So please consider how you can contribute to ensuring that this program goes on. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support.